Hello, welcome to Hotline FN episode 5. We got a special one here for you. It's going to be a really good time. We're going to talk about competitive Fortnite. We're going to talk about the patches. We're going to talk about the storm flips. We're going to talk about everything. We've got some sweet guests, and we've got, of course, my incredible co-host here. So first off, let's bring on the incredible commentator, VOD reviewer, player. He's qualifying this weekend, his own words, BallaTW. Balla, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. Good. Fantastic.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. We've got a special guest tonight. We're really glad he was able to hop on here with us. He's a competitive player. He's a content creator, especially known within the competitive subreddit community again. And he's also kind of the resident tall boy here. We got our friend Bumpaah.
Hey gamers, how you doing?
What's up, friend?
A handsome gentleman.
You want a
I'm gonna kiss
handsome
you.
fella?
I swear to God.
Well, thanks guys. Thanks for showing up. I mad appreciate it. What have you guys been up to this week?
I've been sick, dude. I got back on Tuesday, and since then I was like, I'm feeling it. And this morning I had a 102 fever. So today I've just been chilling. I've been doing nothing. I played a little bit of Storm Wars and then got off. Obviously didn't actually play the game because who does that?
Yeah, no.
But yeah, then I'm gonna be heading right back over to LA next week. I'm gonna play the qualifiers and head over to LA. So that just preparing for that.
God, I'd do anything to be your nurse right now. Take care of your bed.
Sus! Bumpaah, what have you been up to other than pining for Balla?
Not playing Fortnite. Pretty
Yikes.
much. I've been watching a lot of Netflix. This game is.
Yeah, what are you watching?
I'm watching a show called Sneaky Pete.
Oh,
on
it's a
Amazon
great
Prime,
show.
Actually,
Sneaky
It's on
Pete
Amazon
is an
Prime.
amazing show.
It's nuts. You gotta
It's
watch it.
fantastic.
It's nuts.
I like how you said I'm watching a lot of Netflix, and you're like, oh, I'm watching the show Sneaky Pete. It's actually on Amazon Prime because who actually watches Netflix anymore? Let's be honest here.
There goes our Netflix sponsorship.
No, I'd sound like a prick if I was like, well, I've actually been watching a lot of Amazon Prime recently.
I mean, it's true. It's true. 100% agreed.
Totally
but
fair.
I
Totally
think
But you
fair.
are a prick.
I don't know. I play Kovacs. I keep my mechanics up, but as far as playing the game, it's kind of hard. So I get like a solid 4 or 5 hours of scrims in a day, and then I start drinking and try and forget what I've done.
I don't play Fortnite. A solid 4 or 5 hours a day. That's still a decent amount of hours.
That's nothing in this game, dude. That's nothing.
a lot.
No, it's not. What? I feel like I barely play anymore. I feel so lazy. It's disgusting. I feel like I have no work ethic anymore.
Yikes. All right. Well, while we're waiting for some of these topics to come in, let's hit it right off the bat. We just had patch notes. This is content update for 9.1. 9.2.
This is 9.2. This is this is a full patch.
Full patch. Sorry, full patch for 9.2. Man, I still get them confused. Full patch for 9.2, and we're looking at a whole slew of changes, and of course, the biggest one, the biggest, hottest topic is the new storm flip throwable item.
Breaking news, Tim. Breaking news.
Uh-oh.
The storm flip has been disabled for this weekend.
No!
Stop lying. I'm checking
No,
Twitter.
it
You're
just
lying.
got
Link it.
on Reddit,
Link it in the
like,
chat.
no.
Link it in the chat.
No
Here you
cap,
go,
no
here you
cap,
go.
no cap.
8 minutes ago.
There goes
you
like
go.
all of our content.
Let's
Oh my
freaking go,
God.
baby.
I'm
Disabled
so
in
happy.
arena.
Thank you, Jesus.
Rolls out later tonight.
Dude, there was just no way they would leave it in after all the posts about it on Twitter. Like, anybody with half a brain could watch the posts on Twitter and just go, yeah, this isn't competitive. This is making our already uncompetitive game a little bit more uncompetitive.
Who was it with that first tweet that everybody was just throwing around this morning? And it was just, I mean, it was like, what was that? 6 of these freaking storm flips in
it was
that
bad.
decently packed late game. Oh, what a mess.
You play.
Yeah, that guy.
Ridiculous. Like, I just had to immediately retweet that because it was just like it was so blatantly like not gonna be okay.
It's just not even close to cool. Like,
No.
it's not even close to being all right. Like,
I would have rather had the sword. I will be totally honest.
At least there's only one sword.
Exactly. And oh my goodness, I just
At least we can
feels
like study
sometimes-
Psalm's paths and abuse him when he gets the sword, right? Like in this case, anyone gets the storm flip. Like, oh,
Yeah,
Lord.
I've seen pictures of people with like form in inventory. Did you know that? You know that meme where it's like the Cheeto that's holding the bolt lock in? I think of the Cheeto as Fortnite's competitive integrity, and it got
Oh, no.
smashed open by the storm flip, and they had to put a new Cheeto in, so
Yeah,
they removed
yeah.
the storm flip for
Quickly
now.
put a Cheeto in there.
We're just waiting for them to break the Cheeto again before they replace it.
So Stormflip isn't happening then this weekend, so we don't have to talk that much about its impact on this weekend.
Did they say just this weekend?
Yeah.
So hold on. Let's read this. Let's read this entire thing. It says,
Let's
"Hey
hear it.
folks, we will be temporarily be disabling the storm flip for this weekend's tournaments. All region will play the Week 9 Fortnite World Cup Online Open with the storm flip disabled. Additionally, the storm flip will be temporarily disabled in the arena playlist until the weekend tournament concludes. This hotfix will be rolling out shortly later tonight, and you will not need to download or patch your client. All other modes will continue to have Continue to have the storm flip enabled during this weekend. Best of luck." So, keyword temporarily disabled in arena, and it's going to be disabled during this weekend's tournament.
So
That means that we're going to play with it at some point in both arena and the weekend tournament, or they're going to vault it before that actually happens.
I think it's like, because they made the blog post about giving us ample time to adapt, and we all know that ample time to adapt to Epic is like a week. And they like, if say they added the burst SMG today, like they would have left the burst SMG and they wouldn't have disabled burst SMGs, but like they've just added a completely game-changing mechanic. So they'll make us adapt to it this week, and then we'll have like a week and a half because they push back week 10 qualifiers as well. So like we'll have more time to adapt to Stormflip, and maybe they like adjust the mechanic of it.
They have to. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. If it comes back, it has to. They have to change it, right? So maybe
it has to be changed in some way.
Let's talk a bit about that, right? Like when I first saw it, I tweeted about this. Balla had to go and correct me. I at first I assumed like, okay, well maybe you can at least storm flip inside of a storm flip to kind of just be like, no, screw you, and you can just carry one as a counter. But no, instead all it does is just reduces the damage to 1 if they overlap, or it, which is also weird, a very random mechanic that makes no sense. Like I'm taking 10 damage, I crossed the blue line, oh I'm not safe, but I am only taking 1 damage. Like I crossed the other blue line, I'm taking 10 damage again. Like what? Doesn't make any sense.
No idea where you are in the zone anymore.
Man, and it creates walls of like visibility blocks. Like it's just like every aspect of it, no part of this feels. I love to play devil's advocate. I don't mind being the guy who's like, well, let's think about like maybe how this could be good, but like in its current iteration, I don't.
I mean, when I first saw it, right, I thought it was going to be like a stink bomb that would do exactly what it does right now, and that'd be mad cool.
No.
But this thing is like massive.
It's huge.
Massive. Even if it storm flipped, like that would just be like it just literally cancel the other thing, right? There would be no actual like skill or thought going into it, because you would just throw it down and then everybody would be canceled for it. So like it doesn't actually make sense to do that. It would have been. I really like love the idea of it being like a stink bomb radius, and like maybe tone down the damage that it does and make it so that it only does damage to shield. And then I also like I when I saw it, I was like, okay, as long as they make it clear which zone you're stepping in, right?
Yep.
That was very important. Like it's not clear at all right now. It's like smoky in the spots that are going to be damaging, and then like the other spot is like, I don't know. I don't even know.
It's smoky, but the smoke doesn't. It's like the stink bomb. The smoke doesn't fill the full volume of the hitbox, so it's useless.
So it's
like worse than useless. It's bad, right? Like you're like, I shouldn't be getting hit. I'm not touching the smoke, right? Like.
And you said that you wanted it to act like stinks. What would be the point of having it in the game then, if it's basically just stinks, except it's like
because it does the pockets of no zone if you throw it into the nose or into storm.
Oh
you know?
Yeah, okay, but then they'd have
which in my opinion was the cooler thing. Yeah, and they should have vaulted stinks. There's a big issue right now. Even obviously it's gone this weekend, but all the clips, the biggest ones were the Blazion one that you retweeted and you were talking about today.
Dude, I was
Pablo,
in that game.
Basically, he had 6 stinks, he had 1 storm flip, and he had a rift, right? So he threw the storm flip and then threw a bunch of stinks, and so that the stinks would envelop the entire storm flip. So it was doing 10 damage a second and 5 damage a second from the stinks. So it was ridiculous.
No. Stinks are 10 damage a second too, right? Isn't it? It's 5 damage.
No, it's
twice a second.
Oh, isn't it 5 damage
every half second?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It takes twice a second.
Stinks are so OP, gosh. But yeah, like I completely thought they were gonna vault it. In fact, I thought they vaulted it when I read the first patch notes. I was like, yeah, they're gone, 100%. There's no way that this also exists at the same time. Yeah. So I don't know, man. It works in pubs. Can I be?
Yeah.
It actually works in pubs.
Most of everything
I bet
that
it's
they
a
add to
blast.
the game works in pubs. The Infinity Blade worked in pubs to an extent. Working in pubs and working in comp is 2 different things, which is why we should separate the loot pools.
Oh, yes.
All right. You guys want to talk about loot pools?
I feel like we're gonna be talking about loot pools every freaking week because like we need. They didn't do anything this week except vault the hunting rifle.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything at all, and it's been like what 3 weeks now since the combat change, or the 2 weeks now since the combat change. And
1 week?
1 week? No. It's been 2 weeks. Yeah. Because they added the burst SMG last time, and the burst SMG ruins it a little bit more. The storm flip ruins it a little bit more. Like
every new item does.
I literally played multiple games today, dropping Happy Hamlet, looting the entire thing, and not getting a combat. Like I played 2 arena games and I didn't get that. Like,
I just want to clarify real quick, just for anybody listening. Anytime an item is added, that broadens the loot pool and reduces your overall chances of getting any specific item, even if they don't share the same rarity slot. Since you can get such a wide variety of rarities, both from floor loot and from chests.
the rarities don't even mean anything anymore. Like,
nope. Nothing.
There'd be, they could make such small changes to the loot pool that would make the game in such a good spot. Like adding late health chests, number one, like little health ammo boxes that spawn everywhere that would make it even easy to grab health, right? Where you would have guaranteed that you will leave any spot with some sort of health. I don't know, man. The loot pool is just so weird right now. I get more semi. What's the other shit that you get? Semi and burst. Like those are the things that I get most out of a chest, and nobody uses those guns at all. Like they are not used at all.
Nope.
I don't know, man.
I mean, so it's tough, right? Like if rarities meant something. So like I got gray pistols more than most weapons, right? When you're first jumping into a spot, because that's how the rarity system is supposed to work. Gray is supposed to be really common, and then you get a better weapon or whatever. I would love to see a change where like gray and green items are only available through like floor loot. And then you've got like make the rarities actually matter something. Yeah, kick them out of chests, make blue and up only available in chests, that kind of thing. So at least you have some choice over your RNG, right? Like I'm gonna drop here where there's a lot of floor loot and I can see what I'm landing on, or I go for the chest, which now maybe is sometimes worth it because the chest is the only way I can get a blue shotgun or whatever, right? Like I don't know. The way it is right now is it's so difficult. It's so hard not to. Fortnite gives you there's so many angles to approach the RNG issue and mitigating your own RNG, right? Through like mechanical skill, through your ability to shoot, mechanical skill through your ability to build fight, your game sense and ability to avoid danger or take it accurately. Like, and then all of it's for naught though, just off of your initial loot wherever you land, right?
It's to an extent though, like say you land Paradise with one other team and say you control Hotel Drop. If you control Hotel Drop, then you can get pool, you can get gas station, you can get the 3 shops, which means you control 3 vendings, which means you control all that floor loot. Meanwhile, everybody else has to loot 1-2 house, mansion, sunroom house, and pool house, and they get all that. So like you control what loot you get, and you can somewhat control your RNG to an extent. Meanwhile, if you get hot drops, say your main drop's Paradise, it's a hot drop in a W key game, you get 8 teams there, you're getting 1 house, and you're pushing the team right after, and if you get a pistol, you're dead.
Yeah.
So to an extent, you can control RNG in this game, but when like the fact that we have 1,500 teams in duos and 3,000 solos means that you don't know who's going to land at your spot, and you don't know when you're going to get 6 people at your POI.
Yeah,
which means that it's much harder to control your own RNG in this game when you're dropping at a POI.
Yeah, I feel like there's been a decent amount of additions lately that, well, I don't know about additions lately, but there's enough like mechanical juice there for you to be able, once you're past that early game, to be able to really set yourself apart through skill and game sense.
Yeah,
and like RNG's like as soon as you leave your POI, the effects of RNG on your game start dropping drastically. But like as long as that early game is so scuffed, like it just invalidates the rest, I feel like.
Yeah,
which is why you see,
there's so much that you could do throughout the game to minimize RNG, but it feels like, especially the last couple patches, right, that all that early game stuff that we've been talking about, right, has just exacerbated every other portion of RNG.
Yeah.
Like the fact that pistols are still in the game and nobody uses those at all, like except like when they get rebooted, which is fine. Like the reboot spawning with the pistol is okay because there's mechanics there and you can prepare for that. But like landing on a pistol sucks. Landing on a house and only getting a pistol sucks. Landing on a house only getting a semi-auto sucks.
Yeah.
Right. It just feels bad all around.
And that's that's a feel bad for casual players as much as it is competitive players, right? Like I've talked about the power curve and the fun of finding a better item and stuff, but like pistol's just garbage. Like, you know what I mean? Like it still just sucks to land on that and then die, as fun as it is to get a great pistol and then get a gold scar or whatever.
Yeah. And they talked about in the AMA, we talked about like our hopes for the AMA last week, but they talked about in the AMA the fact people brought up the fact there was 5 snipers in the game.
Yeah.
Right. And what they did, they vaulted 1 and there's still 4 now. So like there's 4 snipers, there's still 3 SMGs, there's still 3 pistols, and I hear they're gonna bring back the revolver. Like I don't understand it doesn't feel like, and this is the same thing with the storm flip, right? It doesn't feel like there's any thought to how it actually affects competitive Fortnite at all, right? It just feels like they come up with an idea and they throw it in the game and they don't think about anything at all, right? Besides, this is going to be fun. People are going to vibe with this. People are going to use this, right? And that's it at all.
What?
They don't think same with the sword, same with the storm flip. There was no thought at all about competitive. There was no thought about how it will. No, it's not. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you jump back to the sword, like you mentioned, right? Like the sword to me,
how the game is.
Yeah, I feel like there's been so many like potential turning point moments, right? Like I want to believe that within Epic, there's a group of designers or developers or whatever who are it's their job to pay attention to competitive and how things affect that. And I want to believe that they want to do their best, but it's something out of their control. And we kind of almost see that in something like the sword, right? The sword gets brought in and everyone blows up about how awful it is. And it's gone just essentially immediately after the event, right? Like, and they were like, we're sorry and we'll do better, yada, yada. I just imagine inside, like somebody was just like, look, everybody hates this. I told you everybody hates this. You can't do, we gotta get rid of it. And you want to think like, oh, that means in the future, like, sweet, they're not going to do it again. But then they keep doing it, like, consistently.
I don't feel like there's competitive developers or anything like that. It seems there could be such an easy solution to this, right? We have arena mode, right? We have LTEs, we have all that stuff. They could just make the patch, put it in the pubs where people are gonna, love to use the storm flip or whatever, and then do an LTE. Where it's like, this is going to be the best practice for the night because it's a matchmaking system where all the best players are going to play.
And it includes
the storm flip in there and just try it. And then if it's trash, then just don't put it in arena and tournaments. Just don't do it. And if it's good, put it in arena. Try it out there. Try it out for the vast majority of players. Okay, is it good? Now put it in World Cup. Okay, like that seems to be the most reasonable solution to.
It 100% is.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't
want to do that.
I wouldn't put it into arena.
We've talked about this for so long. This is what we want. We want separate loot pools. At this point, I've given up on them balancing the game strictly for competitive. But if
that'll never happen.
They can make both sides happy though.
Yes,
but they refuse to, and they talked about that in the AMA.
And it doesn't even have to be like a compromise, right? Like you can effectively design a game that casual people enjoy and it's still a competitive game, right? Like there are there are a decent enough amount of examples. I'm not
Overwatch,
gonna.
Counter-Strike.
Yeah, there's another one. I'm not gonna be
two
the
off the
first
top
one
of
to
my
mention
head.
it this time.
League of Legends.
That's the one. That's the one. So like I've never been a proponent of separate loot pools. It'd be nice if it meant we got competitive focus. But what I'm a proponent of is they just need to freaking design their game better. Like, yep. All right. What else was on this patch? So we've got
A brick wall.
we got the semi-auto sniper vaulted, or sorry, the hunting rifle vaulted. Which feels weird again on the whole. We still have
RIP
four
trick
snipers. Four snipers. The Boomboah nerf.
Yeah, it's a nerf, dude. Yeah, man. That quarter second.
I heard someone say like, yeah, sure, they slowed the fire rate by 25%. Like, yeah, whatever. Like if you're talking just numbers and not its actual impact on the game, 25% nerf to the fire rate, like that's essentially a 25% nerf to the DPS. Like if you're talking about any other like regular weapon, like if that happened to an AR, that kills the AR, right? Like on paper, that feels like a great nerf. But in the case of the Boomboah, how often are you happy to need to shoot quickly with the Boomboah, right? Like it's such a long time already, you know, with the reload and put the freaking notch the arrow again and everything.
You're
that like it's just not the use case.
In a row like that.
Exactly.
No, yeah,
And if you are taking 2 shots in a row, you can wait 5 seconds. Like you don't even care.
Exactly.
You take one shot, the guy realizes he's being boomboed, and then he has to full path mid game in order to get away from it.
Yeah.
So this is a situation where I feel like
in mid game to get away from the boombow.
Yeah.
this is a situation where I feel like they heard the fact that it was overpowered, and then they balanced it for casual because that's where people are actually reacting slow enough that they can get another shot off on you anyways, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it probably did feel overpowered over there too, but there's just no actual nerf to it for competitive at all. And whatever, man. Like, I feel like the Boomboah, while it is OP, I feel like people aren't picking it up as often. Yeah, I feel like it's just not meta, and because
that's fine.
It is OP, and it not being meta is fine with me. Like, I'm cool with it because it's so frustrating to play against.
It's really strong, and it's really frustrating to play against. But like when it comes down to it, you just need to be holding other things, right? And so like people often leave it behind.
Takes priority.
Exactly, but dying to it still sucks, right? Like, I mean, just because something has a low percentage of play. I don't know. They're probably looking at it has a low usage percentage. Who cares? The effectiveness percentage is so high, and
that's because it's so rare, though. Let's be honest here. It's very rare.
Sure. But like on the flip side of that, though, is like, who cares how often people die to it? Who cares how rare it is people are carrying it into late game? What like should matter to both the competitive and the casual player base from Epic's point of view is that it just sucks to die to. There's just you just feel like you can't do anything about it when it does happen. Who cares how rare it is? Like it's the worst thing ever. Like
this gives us insight into why they nerfed the combat shotgun spawn rate too, because like the combat shotgun wasn't spawning that much, and people were getting a lot of kills with it because it's by far the best shotgun in the game, and it's by far like everybody's favorite shotgun. But the Boomboah doesn't spawn at all, and while it's really OP, people just don't pick it up, so they think it's balanced.
Yeah.
Because the spawn rate's so low that there's not enough people picking it up to kill them, so they're taking the same approach with the combat shotguns. They're like, well, we want to lower the amount of kills the combat shotgun gets, so let's make it impossible to find so that nobody gets kills with it.
Yeah, that's just the wrong way to fix something, right? Just it feels like the wrong way to fix something. I mean, I guess it's going to have the effect that they want, which is lowering the amount of kills, but it's making it, we already talked about it, right? It's making it a frustrating experience for people who don't get what they need to get the kills. So, yeah, again, just separate the loopholes. There's ways to do things, but they set. So we keep saying separate the loopholes. Are there any other things that we can suggest that's not separate the loopholes that will make it good for, like, because they said they're not separating the loopholes.
Yeah,
so are there any other ideas?
Yeah,
right?
Like holistically, right? Like the goal of separating the loot pool in the first place is to tighten the loot pool for competitive play, right? They can do that across the board, right? Like nobody loves landing on a gray pistol, right? You can either buff the pistol or get rid of it, That same thing for every single item. I think you go through every item front to bottom and you say, is this useful? Like, is this just strictly outclassed? Like, I'm okay with a pistol being worse than having a shotgun early game. And what I'm not okay with is like, I don't want to like land on an item that gives me zero chance to beat an equally skilled opponent, right? Like, it puts me at a disadvantage against less skilled opponents, right? Like, tighten the loot pool, either through removing items or through significantly buffing certain items and bringing everything a little closer together in terms of power.
So last week we talked about the fact that like that was like kind of I don't remember the term that you used, but landing on a good weapon versus landing on a bad weapon was kind of like the hook to the game, right? Where if you land on a gold pump or gold combat, that you would that's the hook to the game, where a bunch of people would be like, yes, I want to play this game now, and this is the best thing about this game is, you know, getting the good loot so that I can do well, right? So that will lessen that.
Catch
right?
me in my own words. Yeah, you're totally right. Like, I like to play with my wife a lot. And she's told me, like, I love landing and not in POIs. I love landing like out in some random place and like spending the whole game looking for loot and having a good time just hanging out. Like, that's how like the majority of the player base plays, right? Like, they love going from place to place, opening each chest in anticipation. And like, so I get that. Like, that's hard. That's a hard thing to balance. I don't know. What do you think, Bumpaah?
You say that nobody likes landing on a pistol when somebody else lands on, say, a gold pump. But while that may be true, Epic is very numbers focused, and they know the numbers of like what people deep down inside like. So like, while yes, when you do have, I think we basically touched on this. While yes, when you do land on that gray pistol, it sucks. But like, what keeps you coming back is that when you do land on that good weapon, you, as a lesser skilled player, you have a chance to now go mop your POI because you have better guns than the other guys that landed there.
It's literally a gotcha system.
I think that, yes, it's the same thing with health on kill. Nobody likes ending a fight and having 10 HP. But casuals, when they get a kill on a guy who just ended the fight and he had 10 HP, they love that. They're like, I just killed this. Say some kid kills Ninja, and Ninja just got done 1v4ing a squad. This kid gets one bullet on him and kills him. He's Twitter clipping that. That's going on his Instagram. He's Snapchatting his screen, dude. That kid is hype. And he will never have that if Ninja gets 200 HP back after 4 wiping a squad. It won't happen. And Epic knows that. And like, while Epic knows what people really want and what keeps them really playing the game. And that's having an unbalanced system sometimes and making sure that less players have a chance of killing better players.
Yep.
I don't think people understand, like, what you're saying is 100% true. I don't think people understand the amount of data that goes into decisions.
There's so much data.
Here. There's so much data. They correlate, like, landing on a gold combat shotgun when you normally don't get that to how many extra games they're going to play because of that, or how many more times a week they're going to log on, right? The mobile games industry has, like, literally pioneered it and changed the amount of things that companies do with data. They will literally, like, the item shop is so well designed to hook you into buying more stuff, and obviously everything in the game is designed to hook you to go buy items in the item shop. And we just talked about how they made a Stormflip skin in the freaking item shop today, right? That is literally meant to sell. So the Stormflip item Bumpaah was saying is literally meant to sell that Storm skin. So there's more to it than that, right? There's data that will say when this person dies to a pump shotgun and gets one pumped, they will log off for the rest of the week and not come back for a whole week. There is stuff that says that. So and that makes it for a worse experience for us, and that makes it so that we never understand their decisions because we don't see that data.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has the anecdotal evidence at the very least. Many people have the anecdotal evidence at the very least. Most of my like personal friend group that I used to play the game with, you know, friends who aren't like gamers, they're not interested in competing. They will never set foot in creative and practice building. They loved this game. They like bought PlayStations, they bought headsets, they bought paddles for their controllers to have fun in pubs with me. And like season just after the plains, just around the plains, all of them quit. And almost all of them, and if you sit them down to it, is because I wasn't good enough anymore. I couldn't kill people anymore. I wasn't like even getting to top 50, and so I moved on. I stopped playing.
Yeah.
They
Hey,
come back now. The game's easier than it's ever been, almost.
Which
Yeah, but
sucks,
not
right? I'm
even
not trying to
really, though.
justify anything.
In
It
like,
just
in
it
like
just
regular
like
club solos,
that's
like
the way it is.
they accomplished what they wanted by adding arena to the game. They accomplished it.
they
Good
need to
players don't play
push.
clubs.
They need to push arena. They need to push
Yes.
arena, and they need to make it so that if you're a 0-point player, you stay at 0 points. Because if you're a 0-point player, you will have fun playing in 0-point lobbies because it'll
That's
be
true.
back just to like how you remembered it. Hey, look at all these guys who also suck, and I gotta have a good time. You know what I mean? Like again, which is why I always talk about the funnel. If you push people into playing in a ranked mode, they're good. They're gonna stick around longer. They're gonna be either be interested in pushing that rank, in which case they become a competitive player, or they just have more fun playing against similarly skilled players, whether that's good or bad.
Yeah.
So I always say that a game will get more competitive as time goes on, and it will get harder always as time
Always.
goes on. If there's any sort of a competitive aspect, the game will always get harder as time goes on, and the need for an actual ranked mode will get larger and larger and larger. So I think we're seeing that now. I think that season 7 with the planes and stuff like that was that turning point where it was like, if you're not good at this game, if you're not putting the time in, it's no longer going to be that much fun unless you are playing in a ranked mode, right? I've seen it in so many games, in CS, in anything really, in StarCraft. People just get so good that at the end of the day, you're going to have to focus on the competitive community. And I've been saying that about Fortnite. I was saying that 1.5 years at least is going to be the time period, or 2 years or something like that. Then they need to focus on competitive, because it's not going to be fun anymore for everybody else. Because everybody's so good. Everybody's going to be so good. Even the people who don't put the time in, they're just going to be good because they watch everybody who's freaking amazing. Ninja, all these guys are so good.
Yeah. You learn just from watching other people. Eventually, you just start picking up tricks.
Yep.
And you know what to do.
Yep. All right, let's move in. Let's get our first caller in here. Change up the format just a little bit and try something a little different. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Jack from England.
Oh, what's up, man?
What's
From
up, Joe from England?
How you doing?
So basically, my sort of question was, it's going to be based on like the World Cup finals. So we've got like the majority of the qualifiers so far. This is going to be mainly for duos. It seems as though like the big majority of the players are either sort of qualifying, landing at either Loot Lake or Happy. How do you think that's going to sort of translate into LAN? Is it going to be like a big sort of mental game almost to see sort of like who can sort of out ego and out psych everyone else to sort of keep those POIs, even if it means like throwing the first couple of games maybe to sort of like, I don't know, try and further themselves in the later games?
Yeah, you're saying like feel out where you're going to drop when it actually comes down to being at LAN?
Yeah, so like at LAN, do you think maybe it's going to be first game 10 teams Loot Lake and they're going to keep sort of committing so they can win that massive loot battle, put them in such a good spot for the rest of the games for the rest of the tournament?
Okay, awesome.
No.
We're going to get into this. Thank you for the question. And I want to reiterate that this is Redfern from previous episodes. He's a longtime contributor and topic bringer. We love this guy.
Let's go.
Thanks so much,
Thanks,
man.
guys.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. So yeah, okay, like we've seen this happen at every tournament so far in terms of the people battling for POIs and trying to get the best POI, right? There's always, after every single tournament, there's a discussion on why this team won, right? For ESO Katowice, it was Zayt and Saf winning Loot Lake, or having Loot Lake split with Mitra and Kuna, right? At AO, it was Jesse getting Dusty Divot by himself, the Australian Open. At Secret Skirmish, I don't think we knew that much because we didn't really pay attention to drop spots or anything like that.
Yeah,
I don't really remember anything about drop spots at all in that. But TwitchCon was Tfue and Cloak landing Westworld, right?
Yep.
And getting all that loot. So there's all that stuff, just fantastic. So there's always that discussion, and let me tell you, the way that stuff develops is very mind games. It is very ego based, and it is very like they're thinking about it way ahead of time. I just saw a tweet by Mitro saying, "Hey, we're going to be landing Tilted." right?
Yeah.
And he announced to the world, "I'm landing tilted. We're landing tilted." That takes, not only is that ballsy, right? Because it's not actually ballsy. It's actually just mind gaming people, and everybody knows now that Mitra and Mongo are going to land tilted.
Maybe.
And that means that yes, maybe, but at the same time though too, like the fact that they want to land tilted. And the fact that everybody knows that they want to land tilted means that there's going to be people who just completely dismiss landing tilted. They're going to be like, "Yeah, Mitra and Mongo are landing there."
Yeah,
Fuck
but
that. Like, why would I land there?
And
what's to say that it's not just like super mind games, right? That's the whole problem with it. I'll get to that point, but like they could be planning on landing shifty every game and just want to have as easy a rotate into tilted afterwards as possible. So they announce on Twitter that they're always landing tilted, and just to clear out that BOI a little bit for their mid game rotations, right? Like the lack. This is my greater point. The lack of actual customs between what's like actual games with limited sets of players repeated leading into the World Cup is what stops us from having any idea of any kind of meta, any kind of idea of any kind of like stories to follow within that meta leading into this World Cup, which has its, I guess it has some pros, but to me is mostly cons, right? Everyone's coming into this blind and has to like social media mind game everybody instead of just playing it out through the course of games, right? And then, I don't know. What do you think, Bumba?
I think people are going to be doing a lot of research. I'll tell you that. And I'm telling you, Zayt and Saf are not leaving Loot Lake. They're going to alpha that shit up, and they're going to put their foot down and say that they're landing there. And whether or not they W key people off spawn or they try and split it and dip is all going to come down to playing and adapting at the time. But like over the course of LAN, you realize that you start to realize spots that aren't taken. And in between the bathroom breaks of like piss break at TwitchCon, you're hearing people whispering like, "Oh, dude, I'm getting this shit uncontested, no cap. Like, we're gonna come back. We're getting points." Like, or like, dude, I like me and Balla first game of TwitchCon Grand Finals. We landed Pleasant Park. We split Pleasant Park and we dipped down to Soccer Field. Saw Soccer Field wasn't looted. We were like, "Oh, we can rotate here. We know nobody's landing Soccer Field now in TwitchCon Grand Finals. So like, we can come down here. We can mat up, and then we can rotate to zone." Or like, just like people hear about stuff and they know like what's getting uncontested, and they know that like I can start migrating here. But then you have to like you have to play mind games of, okay, if I hear that this is uncontested, does that mean 3 other people who also heard it's uncontested are gonna go there next game? Should I continue to alpha up my spot and hope that somebody's gonna leave? It's all mind games. And like, I don't think that we're gonna have an extreme circumstance where like, what are the teams? Aiden, Sean, Saf, Zayt. There's an EU. Mitra Mongo's not going to Loot Lake. There's another EU duo that was going to Loot Lake. Item
and Dirox.
Yeah, Item and Dirox going to Loot Lake. I don't think we're going to see 3 of them at Loot Lake first game. We might see 2. We're probably going to see 2. And if one of them starts winning an early fight, and they win like say 2 early fights in a row, or say like Aiden 50-50s them off spawn and L2 spams Zayt and Saf, maybe they leave. Who knows? But like, it's also gonna really depend on how many games are in Grand Finals. You know, like if we have a 6-game series in World Cup Grand Finals, one game is gonna be, it's not gonna be good, especially this new format where it consists.
It's not even enough time to develop that sort of like meta and
yeah,
which is why it needs to be happening beforehand. Like you talk about this. This
it's kind of happening.
mind
like,
gaming happening and stuff to the viewer base. The mind gaming doesn't matter if they can't see it play out.
That's true.
Over the course of games, they don't have any vision into that. It's gonna happen no matter what for the players, and it's gonna be an interesting and engaging part of competing, and that's awesome. But it could be so much better if they just let it happen through the course of a bunch of games. Like,
awesome, but also toxic at the same time, bro. Like, this whole landing spot thing has been going on since the dawn of competitive Fortnite, and it's very toxic. It's constantly landing on people, 50-50ing them, and then L dancing, and then DMing them. Stop landing in my fucking spot. Like, it's toxic and maybe not as engaging. But so yes.
But I think
there's not that testing. Yes, although there was testing. There was that testing. And guess what happened in those testing games? It was still mind games because there's not enough. It's just not enough. Like even a couple of test games, 5 or 6 test games ain't enough. And so what happens is you end up it's still mind games, but you end up just W keying in your drop spot and acting like psychos and fighting every single time. And then when the actual tournament comes around, you just split and leave. That's what happened with Mitra and Kuna and Zayt and Saf. In the test games, they fought every single time. I think Zayt and Saf lost every single time. And what ended up happening was they stopped fighting. They just didn't fight anymore because they both knew. They were just like, oh yeah, I just want to try to push you off. And then boom, no.
Obviously, we've talked about leagues a million times over, but this is one of the things that this potentially solves, right? You potentially remove the toxicity of like landing and then claiming spots and stuff when you know that that's going to take place naturally over the course of 20, 30, 40, whatever, games over the course of weeks as this develops and stuff, rather than just like, I've got to try a mind game, which is like 90% random, like going into this tournament and then get what I can out of 5 games so I can make the 6th game incredible or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Anything else on that, fellas?
Not really.
I love drops, but I love early game like drop drama. I really love it. I fucking love it. Honestly, that's the best spot for like the stories and like the rivalries and stuff like that. Ooh, it's so good.
People get real butthurt, dude. You could land at one of those wooden red shacks. Somebody could test me about a wooden red shack. They're getting a hot DM,
dude. The one outside.
Like the Aim Hero Fax Fox thing versus Xro and Vinny. Like that shit was so hot. That was so fun. And it sucked because it got toxic, but if it doesn't get toxic like that, oh my god,
you remove a lot of the pressure of the situation by just allowing more games, right? Like if Xro and Vinny get like 50-50 contested 5 out of 6 games in a major tournament, that's tilting as hell. If they get contested 5 out of 6 times in week 1 of a 10-week series, they start to adapt. They start to study how Fax Fox does it, and we get an even better story. Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
Yep. More time. It's a game that rewards consistency. We just need to be able to play more. Okay, let's bring in our next question here. Hello. Where are you from, and what's your name?
Zycoma. I'm from Canada.
Canada. What's up?
Zycoma.
Hey, baby.
Yeah.
Hey.
What do you want to talk about today?
So I mean, it's been a while since it happened, but I just wanted to mention like how they removed the silenced SMG and the P90, but mainly the silenced SMG. I thought it was like a really unique weapon that could have maybe like fought against the combat shotgun, because right now with the combat shotgun rates being so down, it's so important to have one in order to win those close range fights. And I thought the blue SMG was like really, really good for close range and like just spraying through walls in general. Yeah. So I was just wondering like, why did sorry, go on.
I was saying it's good for spraying through walls because you can't hear that thing, dude.
Yeah, exactly. I just thought it was like a unique weapon, and I was confused as to why they removed it. And there's no reasoning on that as well, if I remember correctly.
All right, we're gonna get into this. Thanks so much, Zycoma from Canada.
Thank you.
Thanks, boss.
All right, guys. Silence SMG. Right. Who's got first thoughts here? Who's got first dibs?
I don't know if it ever directly competed with the combat shotgun, but I'll tell you what it does is it takes away like a valuable support weapon away. Like now what do you say you're duo fighting and your teammate's box fighting and you're trying to support and spam somebody's sidewall and get damage in? You're not doing that with a burst SMG. It's kind of, 1, you run out of ammo too fast, and 2, it's just not it's not effective enough for constant pressure. And then like your only real option is a drum gun, which takes AR ammo, which takes away from your precious AR ammo when you're trying to hold people in zone and like half and half or hold people rotating. And you got the TAC AR, but mainly it's just.
But isn't that okay? Now. Isn't that okay though? Like, why should you have everything? Is it okay to make you choose? Do I want to be able to pinch effectively and pressure multiple sides of my teammate, or do I want to be able to hold people in zone? I don't think it's
bad. I was just bringing up the point that I don't think it ever really directly competed and contested the combat shotgun. I think the combat shotgun is better than anything else in the game right now when it comes to close quarters fighting. I'll take it over a drum gun. I'll take it over a TAC. Yeah. 10 out of 10 times. Like I don't even run an SMG or a drum gun or anything now. If I have a combat, I'm carrying combat AR and then 2 utility and a heal now because it's just that good.
I like choices. I like what you're saying, Tim, that you should be taking, choices and whatever, or you should be forced to make choices. But at this point in the game, like, there's only one. It's still, again, there's always going to be these metas that develop. There's never going to be one thing that it's always going to be a tier list. I don't see any game where people are doing different things like that, except games where there's specific like classes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In Counter-Strike, there's always going to be a best weapon.
Yep.
There's just always going to be a best weapon. It's not going to exist otherwise, because it's not like everybody has the same thing. Everybody plays the same. Everybody has the same character, right? So there's just always going to be a best weapon. But in terms of the silence SMG, like I'm happy it's gone, to be honest. The silence aspect of it was just annoying.
Very frustrating. Yes.
With the audio being as it is, and obviously it's improving slightly every patch, although this one is kind of debatable whether that's true.
It's
The silence SMG and silence weapons in general is just not like a good thing to have in the game. But at the same time, you also have the TAC AR, which I'm going to take every time over silence SMG, because then I can use it in those AR ranges and I can use it in those SMG ranges and have it as the spam. Right? I literally will always take the TAC AR over silence SMG or anything like that.
That's why you're a caster. I'm sorry. I love you.
I mean, obviously I'll take a scar or anything like that over that shit. But come on, bruh.
No, I mean that's a tough topic you bring up.
So hard on my own podcast, bruh.
I'm sorry.
So hard.
Chill, bro. All right.
But it's not an AR.
Thank you. He's gone.
But it's
Get him
not
out
an
of here.
AR.
Get
It's
him
not
outta
an
here.
AR.
Oh,
on,
Jesus
bruh.
Christ.
It's not an AR. Oh, yeah, man. Oh, I hit him for 16 4 times. He's shambles. 16 blue, 16 blue, 16 blue.
No, it's not
Oh,
an
look
AR,
at that.
obviously.
Somebody with an AR just lasered him out of the sky. Good thing I hit him with my leaf blower.
Facts. I mean, facts. Okay, but still, the silence SMG. I'm not gonna. It's not that versatile weapon, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, I'd rather just take a TAC AR or a real AR, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. You mentioned like the whole idea like there's always going to be a best weapon, except for like in games with his classes and stuff. That's a really we've watched them for a year now, longer. Try to address that, because they don't want that. They want to be one of the games where there are multiple great loadouts, and in my opinion, they have a couple different ways to approach this. They can keep trying to make it happen the way they want it to happen, where the individual weapons are a little more like, they're more viable weapons, they just have to do a better job. I think that's approachable. They've just done a very bad job of it, through things like they're too afraid to make the dualies good. They're too scared to make the silence pistol good. They're too like whatever the situation is. I think there's another totally different approach, right? Keep introducing slightly different variations on some of the utility we have. Give people options through which utility they choose to walk around with, and be fine with them holding a pump and an AR, because that's best. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Lower the weapon loot pool and expand the utility loot pool. Adjust how you find them, so you're not like getting utility over shotguns or remove stinks. I don't think you can remove stinks. I don't think you can remove stinks without addressing the wall taking situation.
That's I get that. Yeah, I definitely think that. I mean, you could just do the Bumpaah Classic and jump in everybody's boxes with the stair trick. Zero ping.
Apparently in the ping.
Hopping in there.
Apparently the ping.
I'm getting in. Oh, I'll get in a zero pingers box.
I'm sorry. Apparently with the patch, it's gone. You can't build through people's walls anymore. That was in the patch notes.
No, build through people's walls, but you can still phase in with stairs and stuff like that. So phase through people's stuff.
Oh, I'm jumping.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
Heck yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, that statement is. There's always ways to get into people's boxes. There's always ways to take people's walls. Like, even if you have a slightly higher ping, obviously if you have really, really high ping, there's no chance of doing anything. But there's always been ways to get people's walls, and it's just mind games. It's all that stuff, right? So stinks are just a frustrating way to deal with it. It's just very frustrating. Like, because you sometimes you can't do anything about it, and that's the theme, right?
Yeah.
Things that you can't do anything about are just the worst thing to have happen to you, right? Landing on a pistol, getting a storm flip thrown on you when you're on low ground, like getting boombox thrown on you when you're low ground. All those like they're just so frustrating to deal with that like stinks thrown on you when you're 5 HP and you have no white heals because you didn't find any white heals or you had to carry this stuff. Like,
yep. And here's the thing: this isn't new in the world of game design. This isn't like a new untreaded territory that they're trying to figure out. I've said it a million times. I'll say it a million times more. This is something League of Legends has gone through publicly, where the designers and developers have written like essentially papers on it. It's not hard. Like, if this is like your scene in your job to like keep up to date on things that happen in your industry, it's one of the major differences between a game like Dota and League of Legends is that League of Legends developers realized very early on, hey, it sucks to have someone click on you and you get totally immobilized, stunned for 3 seconds. We shouldn't do that. We should allow people to dodge things more often. And that's the direction they took. And that's why League of Legends blew up while Dota floundered until Dota 2 came out, right? Like, these aren't like, it's a pretty like well-known, like even World of Warcraft has like had to deal with these sorts of situations. Like, I don't understand how they're so like glossed over constantly.
World of Warcraft has had to deal with these type of situations. That's a fucking hilarious statement, and I love it.
All right. Let's bring our next caller in here. Hey, man,
boy.
Where are you? What's your name and where are you from?
I'm King Clout from NA East.
NA East. What's up?
Hey, you gonna share some of that clout, baby? Let's go.
The king of it.
So I want to talk about, or I just want to give my opinion about Ziff and Ronaldo.
Oh boy.
So they cheated, right? And Epic punished them for it, but they only gave them a 2-week ban. And everyone knows they should have gotten like a ban for maybe the rest of the World Cup. Like, they shouldn't have been given the opportunity to compete again. But then they go and they qualify after getting banned, and everyone is so upset. And I feel like the hate that they're getting, it kind of goes past gaming, because every chat that I see them in, if they even like breathe, they're just getting spammed with hate messages. And I feel like hating on them is like, it's kind of the same as hating on someone who served a prison sentence and then got out of prison and they're just like walking the streets and they're like, oh, I hate you because you went to jail, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't think they hate him because he went to jail. I think that they're getting shown hate because of how light their sentence was.
Yeah, but I feel like the hate is.
That's not on them. It's not on them, though.
Yeah. Thanks so much,
Their
King Clout.
actions are on them.
Thanks so much, King Clout, for bringing this topic up, and we are definitely going to talk about it.
All right. Well,
Have a fantastic evening.
All right,
Thanks,
boys.
man.
Okay. A lot of points here. There's a lot to talk about here. Balla?
All right. First off, like I so the hate that they get is, you know, so they cheated. According to Epic, they cheated. They colluded. They got banned for 2 weeks, right? So they obviously deserve some sort of like bad stuff coming their way. But let's be clear: no fucking death threats. None of this bullshit that every single post of theirs gets spammed with, like violence threats. You know, like threats against their family. Like, all this stuff is terrible. Like, I don't understand.
it's horrible.
And the community, like the big people in the community who push, like, you know, oh, Ziff and Ronaldo are such asshole fucking cheater bitches and stuff like that. Like, that is literally encouraging all that bad stuff. Sure, that specific statement might sometimes be relevant and might be okay, depending on what exactly it was that the people did, but it leads to those bad, terrible statements by people, those vile, hateful things, and that's never okay.
Also, there's a difference between, I want to point out, there's a difference between doing a bad thing and being a bad person.
Yeah.
I think that's very relevant here as well.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I sat next to Ziff and Ronaldo at TwitchCon. We both did, Bump and I, and they were really nice.
Yeah,
they were really cool.
They're cool dudes, but like, yeah, we don't like. I don't know. Some people might hate them as people because they cheated. I don't hate them as people, and I'll be nice to them, but I don't like it. They're good players, but the fact that they cheated and they got off easy makes me angry.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
It has nothing to do with whether or not
I can't hide that.
Yeah, it has
Like-
nothing to do with whether or not they deserved to qualify, right? Like, deserved to qualify. Like, no one deserves to qualify, right? Like, that's nonsense anyway, I feel like. But, like, sweet, they're great players and they were able to qualify. Like, awesome. They still cheated. and like did irreparable harm, as we've already seen, like as far as like to like the competitive integrity going forward, right? Like they're not the only ones. They weren't the only ones back then either, right? But it all adds up, right?
They were the most high profile ones. And let's be like, a scene to have such a blatant collusion, like activity so early on. This is like the first big tournament. Like, let's be honest here. To have that happen so early is ridiculous. Like the stuff in StarCraft with Savior, who literally went to jail for match fixing and colluding. He went to jail for it, and that was like 6 years into StarCraft 1. iBuyPower got banned for life. That was probably like 3-4 years into the scene, right? And the fact that it happened so early on, people get turned off from that sort of stuff. People really do. Yeah. And so the fact that it happened at all is really gross. And we already knew that this would be an issue, right? We've talked about it multiple times on the show. We've talked about it multiple times throughout the community's history, right? About collusion, about people landing near each other and all that sort of stuff. This is just the most blatant example of it actually happening. The thing I'm confused about, everybody's confused about why they only got banned for 2 weeks, right? Yeah. And I try to justify it in my head. Like, I try to figure out why that happened. Because I don't get it. I don't get how it could only be 2 weeks for literally, teaming and giving each other free points. Like, I don't understand how that could be 2 weeks, because so many people, you got 2 weeks for accidentally playing on the wrong server or playing on the wrong server without knowing that you weren't allowed to play, right? Because they had that shit all, you could play throughout the Lux Cup, the Scallywag Cup, all that stuff on other servers, and you'd get 2 weeks if you did it in the World Cup all of a sudden without like really any warning or anything like that. It's so strange and it makes no sense. So
I think the reason why it's 2 weeks is because you get banned for 2 weeks if you do it in pubs. So they just move the punishment over. I think that's their reasoning. I don't like, yes, because they should logically be like, all right, cheating in a World Cup qualifier is different from teaming in pubs. But I think that the reason why they made it
just goes out the window because Funk Bomb got banned.
I was gonna bring that up. That's what's confusing, is that like Funk Bomb got banned the duration of Fall Skirmish. Yeah. For calling out other people's positions from a stream, but it wasn't teaming per se. It was more strictly cheating.
And which I would argue is
actually can't happen in the game, right? That actually can't happen in a game, in a normal public match, right? Yeah. Whereas teaming can happen in a public match. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think that they've taken the punishment for teaming from pubs and applied it to their World Cup format, and I don't agree with it. I don't think they should have been banned forever. But I definitely think they should have been banned for the duration of World Cup, and they should not have been they should have had their prizes forfeited from the earlier weeks of money that they've made, and they should have been banned for the rest of World Cup, and they can come back when World Cup is over.
I think they should have been banned if what they did was, plan to drop on each other for free points, then they should have been banned for longer than World Cup.
And if that wasn't the plan, I've seen this argument, right? That like, oh, well, the reason it's only 2 weeks is because Epic can't prove that it was intentional.
Well, if they can't prove
the fact that they punished them at all. Exactly. The very fact that they punished them at all, they felt confident that they had cheated, that there was intent, and that like there was a problem here, right? The very fact that they got a punishment at all should be all you need to know that like these guys cheated.
Yeah, they cheated.
Like, and I don't think that there's any excuse there for only being 2 weeks, right? Like, there's no leniency of it, because the leniency exists. This shouldn't have been punished at all. And so it's just an awkward ruling, right? Like,
so a question, and this is obviously, I don't think this is, I think they cheated because they got banned, but what would Epic do if somebody dropped, if for example, Bumpaah was playing his World Cup games and I dropped on him and gave him a free kill without talking to him, without doing anything like that. I just queued in his game because for whatever reason I saw him in my game and I decided to drop on a spot and give him a kill. What would they do? Would they just ban me, or would they ban Bumpaah too because he's my friend? Right?
Yeah.
That's the really hard part, right? Like that's the tricky situation. That's the tricky situation people thought they were in, right? And if that's the case, then they should have talked about it more. Epic should have, right? Epic should have like
Yeah, they need
talked
to give us
about
details
it
on how
more.
they knew.
But the fact that they
But if they
didn't,
tell us how they knew, then maybe people will be able to avoid it.
but the fact that they didn't talk about it at all, and the fact that they just put out a punishment and they said they colluded, not that they were fed kills, that they colluded. That means two parties working together to do an inappropriate thing, right? Like, I don't see like what window that leaves open, right? Like,
I don't think that Epic's communication is ever super clear and that they think specifically about those words, especially in these blogs. I mean, sure, if like the press releases and stuff like that, I feel like they would, but in these blogs, and they think a little bit about it, but to use the word collude does not necessarily mean that they like, I don't put that full faith in that word, right? That means what you're saying it means. I just feel like there's something else. There has to be something else. I just don't get how it could be 2 weeks. I just don't get it. It should be way more. I don't know, man. It's just such a weird situation. Such a weird situation.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is that Epic considers teaming and cheating to be two different things and two different punishments, and teaming not to be as bad because little Timmy sometimes teams and solos with his friend Jimmy to get an epic Vic Roy. So why is it not? Why is it any different in World Cup? You know, like I think that in their somehow fucked up logic, that's how they're portraying this situation. But I personally cannot understand it, and it's clear that everybody else in the community cannot understand it, and I think that's why everybody's attacking Ziff and Ronaldo. I don't think that they deserve the amount of hate that they're getting. I think that they should have gotten the hate for teaming, and then all the other hate should be and blame should be put on Epic for allowing them to get away with qualifying
And
for running so,
man.
Slapping them on
So vague. They got banned. There was a group of community. They didn't even call out the fact that it was Ziff and Ronaldo and who else got banned, right? Because that Jesty guy. Was there anybody else involved? Like they just said, oh, there was a group of individuals.
There were a couple hundred,
and yeah, there was definitely, yeah, sure, but there's a specific one that everybody cares about, right?
Yeah, the guy who qualified.
Like, oh, and then we just removed their qualification spot, and all they did was collude. Like, and they didn't say anything about what they did and what. So what it does is it encourages people to do what they did, and we see that in tons of different posts. Like people are like, yeah, I'm gonna feed kills, and all those jokes. Right, all those jokes makes it so that people are actually going to do it. Even if there was some people that were joking, right? There's going to be people who see that and they're like, "Yeah, I'm going to do that. Let's go land on this guy." And it's not even. Again, it's actually going to be even worse because it's not just people who are friends with each other. There's going to be people landing on their favorite streamer, their favorite player, their favorite pro, whatever. There's going to be that because there's 3,000 people in solos and 1,500 duos. There's a lot of people playing in these.
Yeah, well, and Elevate kind of talked about it. Yeah, and Elevate kind of talked about it.
No delay, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know they were gonna land on me.
Elevate was talking about it.
Spot, dude.
Elevate was talking about it on this show 2 weeks ago, 3 episodes back, and he was saying that like his landing spot suddenly blew up halfway through the qualifiers because Ninja had started landing there for a couple games, and he was playing on a big delay though, and so a ton of bots just started landing all over his spot that had been.
He saw a specific influence in his game in the finals because Ninja was in his game. So he didn't get in a game with Ninja, and then all of a sudden Ninja was in his game, and he legit had everybody. He had like 15 people in his zone because Ninja was in his game.
Yep.
It wasn't even just like Ninja was playing and he started dropping there and whatever, because he's been dropping Lazy Lagoon forever, right? And so it was just because he was in his game that there was 1 million people there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's a problem. We've talked about it before. It's a problem with solos. It's a problem with open qualifiers. Part of the problem is streaming without being able to stream without like a delay and these sorts of things, right? Like, and it all just like ramps up and piles on top of each other, right? I mean, we've said this a million times, but if they're going to do open tournaments, the open part needs to be open and not have such a huge funnel at the open stage. and then continue on from there, because otherwise you're always going to have this problem, and there's going to be very little you can do to mitigate it within the current format.
Yep.
All right, you guys ready to move on to the next caller?
Sir.
Yeah, I'm down. But actually, no. One more thing about that is what Shy Wager said in the chat. It's the last 2 weeks now, and I guarantee we're gonna see issues because of Epic's decision of only banning them for 2 weeks. I guarantee it. And Shio in chat is 100% right, and he was on the last episode. That's why we had him on, because he has good takes, man.
Yep. Shout out.
He's handsome.
Okay.
All right. I'm ready.
Pulling our next caller in. How you doing? What's your name and where are you from?
What up, man? It's guys, it's Crashy.
What's up, Crashy?
I'm
Hey
from
there, gamer.
Houston, Texas, with a lot of high ping down here, brother.
Yeah, man.
So, today I wanted to talk about the FaZe High Sky situation and my take, which is that I feel like in Tfue versus FaZe War, they did our little man dirty, because they used him as a bargaining chip, just like the underage drinking, just like the stunts and all those things that his lawyer wasn't supposed to put in, because they needed to smear FaZe and pressure them to getting it out of his contract. Now, here's the thing. I support Tfue trying to get out of his contract, and we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. But really, like, any kind of a hit toward High Sky and his career and what he was trying to do is just, it's sad, man. And rules or not, TOS or not, how old he was or not, dude, he was doing great things, and to see him now not on FaZe and to see him having to jump and apologize, and it's just really sad.
Yeah.
Is he on a phase?
I will say
I don't think
He
so.
streamed on YouTube with their overlay.
Last thing I heard was that he may be forced to leave FaZe.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if him and his family take the hit for FaZe, because they don't want FaZe to get in trouble, because that's like, the people that were bringing him in potentially. I don't know, with the whole lawsuit and crazy
not if
stuff
they're
going
smart,
on,
they won't. They'll let FaZe. They can't. They have no way to take the hit for
dude,
FaZe's labor law issues, right?
yeah,
Like
I guess
the only
we'll
way
see,
they
yeah.
would, the only way they would is if they were willing to just literally say, "We lied to FaZe," and FaZe didn't know, right? But that seems very unlikely. I will say that I don't believe for a second when Tfue says, "I told my lawyer not to put that in."
Exactly.
That's not how things work.
The whole initial part of the Tfue FaZe thing was the smear campaign.
Yeah,
It was
which
to
is
make
how it
FaZe look
goes.
really bad.
Which is how it goes, right? Like, that's how it goes. And so I don't know if it's tough, right? Like, sure, maybe it was a dick move by Tfue and his lawyers to do that, but like, that doesn't change the situation that this shouldn't be happening. Shouldn't have ever happened in the first place, on both, we assume on both FaZe and High Sky's parents' part, you know what I mean? But like, I in my opinion, it needed to stop if it's the case. However it ended up in the limelight, right?
Yes, I agree with you on that front, just because like there's so many kids getting taken advantage of, just because there are no actual rules or laws or anything regulating kids doing what we do in esports and streaming and all that. There's none of that. And when a child is an actor, there's tons of regulations behind that, because they have been taken advantage of and they have been put into shitty situations. Throughout, I mean, all the way back to when movies started becoming a thing, kids have been getting taken advantage of by their parents and literally being robbed of all the stuff that they have, built. And there's plenty of examples of that. So the fact that there isn't any laws or anything, regulating underage Twitch streaming or anything like that makes it so that you just have to have these age limits. You just have to. Right? And that's what they're there for, is so that people don't get taken advantage of. But unfortunately, he already started. He was on a good path. I don't know how they were doing in terms of making sure that he doesn't get taken advantage of by his parents. Like you have to think. I don't know the situation that much. I don't know the situation that well. I don't know his parents. But you always have to be wary of that for kids. You always have to. Always.
Yeah, and even beyond the whole like being taken advantage of professionally, either by FaZe or by his parents, there's a reason labor laws exist, for children, right? Like, and it goes beyond just being taken advantage of with the business and your skills, right? Like, these are children. Low emotional development, low physical development, like low world experience, right? And these things are taken away from them when they're put in these situations, even when they're willing and want to be in these situations, right? Like, I don't know, like as a kid, I wanted to drive a car. Like, no, you're a kid. You don't get to drive a car. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's 1,000,005 reasons for that, which is why it's hard for me to like, I feel bad for High Sky. I feel nothing but like remorse for him individually, right? Like, of course he lied about it. Of course. He's 11. He wanted to do this for a living. He was staring down. Probably the money didn't even cross his mind half the time. He was staring at a Twitch chat, scrolling with adoring fans and like performing at a high level. Like,
yeah. Who wouldn't want that?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think there's any blame to be put on High Sky. High Sky seems like a great kid.
No, absolutely not.
No. All the blame for this whole situation. And I wouldn't even put blame on Tfue, like you mentioned. All of the blame for the whole situation lies on the adults who knew. And if that's just his parents, then all of it's on his parents. And if it's just, and if it's FaZe as well, then they share the blame, right? Although I would still say the brunt of it goes on his parents. And like I said earlier, I don't think doing a bad thing necessarily always makes you a bad person. And I'm not trying to like judge holistically High Sky's parents' ability to effectively raise their child or anything ridiculous like that, right? But this was a huge oversight, and like, it's not even that bad, right? He lied about his age so he can make money and do the thing he likes to do, but it's still a huge problem, right? Like in the scheme of things. So it's hard to like levy a ton of like moral outrage, but it is still an issue. I don't know.
And so there's also the thing, like High Sky clearly has a future in this, regardless of if he has to stop for a year or whatever it is. He clearly has a future in this. He's great at games, he's great at streaming, and he's great at basically everything that needs to go through this entire process, right? He's gonna come back in a year, or he's come back today, right? He's streaming on YouTube right now with his parents or whatever. So like, if anything, like, sure, he's gonna probably have to leave FaZe or whatever it is, or have to deal with this thing, deal with the fallout of it, but he's gonna have a future in this. But guess what it does? It makes it so that people have to be much clearer about it. Makes it so that this doesn't happen to other people, right?
I feel like he'll be better off now that he's had this scandal. It's gonna boost him. Everybody's gonna be like, he's the guy who got banned from Twitch for being underage, and Tfue threw him under the bus, quote unquote, so let's go show him some support on YouTube, and then when he comes back to Twitch when he's of age, he's gonna be making bank again. Like, honestly,
I hope so. I hope he's still making bank right now.
He's chilling. Like, I don't feel bad that he got banned from Twitch either. It's in their TOS. He got banned. It's whatever. But he's gonna be fine, and he'll make a comeback, and he's gonna be able to pick up his career right where he left it. And he doesn't even really have to leave it anywhere because he can keep streaming on YouTube and keep making YouTube content. It's not like his whole internet presence has been wiped out completely. He's still got his internet presence. I think his Twitter should be taken away though, right? Because you have to be 13 to have a Twitter, right?
I think so, but he hasn't been banned yet. So
yeah, Skeptic got banned for making his Twitter when he was like 12.
12, yeah.
Yeah, and then they've retroactively banned him. So like, he should be gone from Twitter, but I think that he's going to be fine in the grand scheme of things. And it's not like he's going to disappear from the internet. It's not like we're going to forget who he is.
JCow in chat brings up a good point. There are quite a few social sites that are totally chill with like, it's technically a parent account with a child account under it and that kind of stuff. And Twitter very well might be that way. Facebook was for a while. I don't know if it still is. That kind of thing. Right?
I think Twitch even had that for a while, right? Because I remember DJ Wheat specifically having a stream for his kid, Mini Wheat, when he was like 7. He used to play Minecraft all the time.
That's a great point.
So, like,
there is some
might have something to do with the money aspect and like being affiliated and stuff like that. I don't know
though. I don't know.
I think it's mostly a non-issue. I get why Tfue did it. Like, he needs to get out. Has he even gotten out of the contract? Like,
that's gonna take a while.
I don't think he's out of the contract. He's not streaming with their stuff.
He's not streaming with their stuff or representing them at all.
So like the outside world, he's not in FaZe, but like I'm saying, behind closed doors is.
Yeah, no, he's not out of it yet.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I
That's
think he's
my
going to be
guess.
fine. He's going to be fine despite, if this is indicative of
he's chill.
exploitative parenting, then, that could be a problem. But again, I'm not willing to make that leap. I think that ultimately he'll probably be fine. The YouTube video of his apology on Reddit, people are commenting like, it all just feels so, I bet it was scripted and his mom was telling him what to say and everything. When I watched that video, you watch High Sky obviously read a script because he's 12 and is making a public apology in front of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people.
He's coming up with those tweets, dude. Like,
yeah. Here's the thing. And then
good things will come. He's reading a fortune cookie. His parents are writing it, dude.
Yeah, and then when his mom is like talking over him in the apology video and stuff, I don't hear like a mom trying to like, don't say anything bad. I don't know. From my perspective, I heard a mom who was like worried about how her son was taking it. You know what I mean? Like she was trying to like encourage him while he was going through it. And he laughed it off. He didn't need it. Props to him. Strong kid. Mature for his age. But yeah, it's a frustrating situation. Ultimately, it's not that big a deal. High Sky will probably be fine. I don't know if FaZe will be fine.
Yeah, I don't know if FaZe, but
FaZe
High Sky will
is
be
in a weird position, bro.
Yeah.
They have so much. It's not just the labor law thing. There's tons of other stuff as well. Like,
and I don't think they can get out of it.
Challenged.
And I don't think they can get out of it just by saying, "Oh, the parents lied to him," right? Like, you need to show documentation when signing like contracts and stuff, proof of identification and these sorts of things, right? Like, either the parents really, really lied to FaZe, like did fake documentation, like Connor is hinting at in chat, or FaZe full bore knew entirely what they were getting.
What do you
into.
mean, bro? They handed me a napkin that says he's 13 on it.
You don't have to show documents to sign a contract. Like maybe
You
like
don't have to
partnership stuff. Sure.
show documents. That's true. Well,
No, you just sign a contract and you sign a contract.
it depends what they signed, right? Like if he had to fill out a W-2
True, but you typically don't have to fill out a
or
W-2
the equivalent
for
of a
this.
W-2 for like contract work or that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, no, a contract worker, you don't really. I guess sometimes you fill out a W-4, but like not typically. You just say, hey, I'm a 1099 contractor or whatever, and that's what most people are in terms of esports orgs. They're just 1099 contractors.
Okay.
So like that is just that's it. There's nothing. You just say, hey, I'm a I'm a 1099 contractor. And that's it.
So, but isn't the onus on? I know that similarly in many cases the onus is on the company for making sure that they're
it
hiring
is,
legal workers,
100%.
right? Like it
Yes.
doesn't matter whether or not they had to show documentation. The onus is still on that company.
Yes, 100%.
Yep. And then Connor again in chat brings up a great point about like what sort of trouble is there going to be. It's not going to be trouble for FaZe. The trouble around competing in the World Cup, competing in these events while being underage.
It's happened before though for that stuff too, and they just DQ them. Like you just get DQ'd. But,
That sounds about right. DQ'd.
right?
And it's,
Like, it
it's as good
happened
as a band because they
in
can't
Winter
recompete.
Royale, right? Yeah, in Winter Royale, somebody actually qualified for the finals, and they played in the semifinals of that in EU, and they actually took somebody's spot, but they just got DQ'd. And Kinstar actually qualified because of that for the finals.
Yeah.
You remember that? And he just got DQ'd. That was it.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Thanks, Crashy. Thanks so much for bringing up this
Yeah,
topic.
man.
brother.
Thank you.
All right, let's see here. We're working on getting another question in the chat, and we're getting close to time here. We're getting dangerously close. So I'm just gonna read out this question here, guys. What's been your favorite part? This is a very big tone shift, by the way. We're getting all positive here.
Oh, we're getting happy now. Oh,
What was your?
happy.
We gotta end on a positive. After all this doom and gloom, we gotta end on a positive note. Let's go.
let's
But
perk
Bubba,
up.
what happened to your light? Why did it get so dark?
Yeah, it got really dark when we started talking about Zip.
I don't know if you noticed, but like, so there's this thing. It's called the sun, and over time it starts to set. So like, when we started the podcast, it was still like kind of out, and it was like not fully set.
It's
and now,
gone.
it's like it's 9:24, so the room gets darker. That's how it works.
Oh, okay. Got it.
All right.
Understood.
So here it is. What's been your favorite part about the tournament? So there's a lot to hate on, but World Cup qualifiers so far, what have you enjoyed?
I like playing stackers. I like I like playing competitive Fortnite, as crazy as that is. I think
that's why we're all here.
When it gets down to it, and you're actually competing against people, whether that's LAN or online, and you're playing for money and you're playing for prestige, that shit's fun, no matter how fucking tilting it is. But like, what's hard about Fortnite is the week of practice that goes into the actual qualifiers, where you're bashing your head against the wall because you know you're gonna have to play against this when it matters, and this could fuck you over and keep you from qualifying. That's what, and it wears on you mentally, and it takes you down. But playing the game competitively and actually competing, it's some of the most fun I've had playing video games in a while.
It's a blast. It's a blast.
I love competing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I could be playing competitive freaking Mario Party, and I'd be having a real good time. So I agree there. I love playing stacked in games. I'm not in Atlantis is like the stackiest thing I've got access to, right? And so being able to play in the finals weeks or the final days on Sundays is so much fun. It's crazy fun. It's so much fun to get to half circle and be like, there's 45 people alive. Maybe a little optimistic, but still, like,
thank God I got my ball.
Yeah. Come on, don't throw shade at me like that. Don't throw shade at me like that.
I'm sitting in a ball, dude. You best believe I'm sitting in a ball till top 15. I'm hopping out. I'm taking my 3 kills. I'm taking my 8 points, and I'm moving on to the next game, boys.
Let's go. Balla, what about you, man? What have you enjoyed most about this World Cup season?
I think the semifinals day is a lot of fun when we get to show off like a bunch of players that we've never seen before, and they always like tweet out like the fact that they get showed off on stream and they get excited, and it's just exposure. It's not necessarily really exposure that matters, but it's just fun for people to get that experience, to be on stream, to be casted, right? I think that's been the coolest part about World Cup. I mean, besides the fact that people are actually qualifying who have not much clout and or aren't known very much and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. I love open formats. I love discovering new people.
Yeah, being casted is amazing. Like when I first started playing Counter-Strike, dude, and I was playing an open, and you would go to open playoffs, and like you got that message from like a CEVO, like the CEVO TV, and they said they were going to cast your game. You're like, oh my God, I've never been so nervous in my entire life.
Yeah.
You feel like a full-blown pro player, dude. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's rad.
I made CEVO finals one year, and they literally DM'd you, and they were like, yo, we're going to cast your game. We're like, dude, we're rescheduling it. And then they didn't cast our game, so that was
that sucks, dude.
Yeah,
that was the
and we
worst.
won.
All right. Final question. Let's keep it short and concise as we move along here. Bumpaah, light machine gun. Is it time to come back?
Keep that shit out of the fucking game, I swear to God. Kuna, if you don't shut the fuck up and keep your dirty mouth away from Tim's ears with that shit, I swear, Epic, do not do it. Dude, it's a drum gun on steroids. There's 100 fucking bullets. Like 4 Timmies are just penetrating my box with that. What am I gonna do? They're just walking through my walls.
Timmy isn't using an LMG. Timmy
Hold up. On Hotline FN, can we say like Johnny?
No, you're
Johnny?
a little Timmy.
Why Johnny? What's wrong with Timmy?
Because he doesn't like Timmy, but he's a little Timmy.
A little Timmy. You're a little Timmy.
He's a little Timmy.
Okay, Balla.
Everybody listening on audio form, he is doing a little pouty face right now. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he's
It's very cute. It's very cute.
It is very cute. I love him. He's so
Balla, is it time for the LMG?
No. Come on, bro.
Kuna, do you want to see the LMG?
Can I just get an AR, a pump, an SMG, a Rift to go, and some minis? That's all I want in the game. That's all I want.
I'll take 6 shadows over that Rift.
All right, Bumpaah. Thank you so much for being on Hotline FN. What do you got going on? Where can people find you?
Mostly on Twitter. I'll be bitching and moaning a lot. At Bumpaah on Twitter. If I do decide that I've built up enough mental sanity to stream this game, you can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Bumpaah. And for the very rare YouTube content, youtube.com/Bumpaah, where you see my mediocre plays come to life.
Bumpaah everywhere. You want to spell that?
Yes, sir. Bumpaah.
Nice.
Look for the airplane, boys. Look for the airplane.
Nice. Well,
If I ever come up with enough mental sanity to stream this game,
Oh, Bumpaah on Snapchat too if you want.
Oh, don't do that. I definitely do not suggest bump on Snapchat. There's a little bit of race, like very
Sus.
What do you mean?
NSFW.
Listen,
Yikers.
I can
Yikers.
throw that girl filter on. I'll be whoever you want, boys. You know what I'm saying?
Lordy. All right. Thanks so much for being on the show, Bumpaah. Bye.
Adios.
Big shout out to co-host we can do it over here.
Almost. You almost got it.
BallaTW. Thanks so much, man. You're always extremely helpful and you make this go smoothly. Not to mention you bring all that sweet, fiery content. What do you have going on, bro?
I'm gonna be sitting in bed for the next day and trying to recover from my fever because I feel it coming back on. So sorry if I was out a little loopy today.
Are you down in that NyQuil?
I am down in that NyQuil. As soon as I get off, I'm gonna go down a whole bottle or something like that.
You know my experience.
But
there.
yeah, at BallaTW everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, all of that stuff. I'm gonna be playing World Cup finals or World Cup semis and finals this weekend, and I'm gonna qual because I'm gonna get actually Stormflip's gone, so I can't qual anymore. Fuck.
I thought you were telling me earlier that Stormflip is why you're gonna qual. Oh wait, it's gone.
No, but it's gone in the game. Yeah, exactly.
Darn,
so
Timmy, that sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sucks, dude. Yeah, and then I'm gonna head to LA next week, and I'm gonna be there for a long time. So that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting.
Rad. All right. Well, thanks you very much, Balla. Peace out.
Thanks, Tim. Bye.
All right, guys. That's been episode number 5 of Hotline FN, live call-in show for your hot takes, bold predictions, and unpopular opinions. I've been, still am, and will probably continue to be Tim. You can find me here on twitch.tv/TIMMCD. Basically, we just do Hotline FN on this channel right now until I get more time to do other things. Again, find Bumpaah on Twitch and Twitter, Bumpaah, Bumpaah, and Balla everywhere under BallaTW. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, please support us. Follow the guests because that means we can get cooler and better guests. Follow Balla because he's the coolest motherfucker. Follow us here. Follow and subscribe. Twitch.tv/TIMMCD. Your support is what lets us continue to do this. Frankly, it makes it worth it. You can always find episodes quickly, either next day or same weekend on YouTube. You can find them wherever you listen to your podcasts, Audio Boom, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, wherever. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time on Hotline FN.